Hey, it's Rain. I'm the owner of Pop Fitness. In today's video, we're going to talk all about intuitive eating. So welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to go off on a tangent about intuitive eating. So like many of you, I also like to watch YouTube, and of course I love to watch other fitness YouTubers. And I saw something the other day that I about had a conniption fit when I saw it, and I thought I would address it in a video. So there is another fitness YouTuber, I will not say her name, but she talked about intuitive eating and how intuitive eating works for her to maintain a very low body fat percentage and low body weight. And she suggested that everybody can just eat intuitively, and there's no reason to actually diet or track your calorie intake or your macronutrient intake because you can just eat intuitively. Okay, so obviously I don't have to say what's so effed up about that recommendation. First of all, okay, most individuals have not maintained a healthy body weight throughout their entire life just by eating whatever they want. Okay, that's absolutely ridiculous. Secondly, I mean, come on. How is a fitness YouTuber who is like a professional in the field gonna say, just eat what you want, guys. It's not that hard. Just see how you're feeling and then eat according to that. What a scam. Now, I'm not saying that anybody is naturally skinny or that she, is a bad person or her opinion is invalid. I'm just saying that for the average person, that's pretty terrible advice, especially consider as a society, we're just getting more and more overweight and obese. Obviously, intuitive eating is not working. So let's talk about the reasons why intuitive eating is not a good idea for the average person and really is terrible advice. First and foremost, intuitive eating does not address the concept of energy balance or energy density. So, to eat intuitively, one would imagine that you're eating according to your hunger levels and you stop when you're full. That's all well and good, except for the fact certain foods are more calorie dense than other foods. That's like saying, I want to have 4 slices of Domino's pizza until I'm full, or I can have 2 slices of chicken breast and a huge ass salad and then I'm full. Obviously, one is going to be more calorie dense than the other, even though they have a similar effect on our appetite. Now you might say, Rain, that's a totally unfair comparison because one is clearly a healthy option and the other one is not a healthy option, right? Except for the fact that a food's perceptive healthiness doesn't have anything to do with its calorie density. There are plenty of foods that we think of as healthy that are incredibly calorie dense.
Don't believe me? Let's compare a double Big Mac to a Caesar salad. Now I know what you're thinking. The Caesar salad is probably the healthier option. Unfortunately, it has more calories, more fat, more sodium, and less protein than the double Big Mac. Now, this is not the only example. I cannot even begin to tell you how many times I've seen a recipe for a healthy option of a food that has more calories, more fat, more sodium, and less protein than the food it's trying to emulate. Do not fall for the perceived healthiness scam.
Essentially, the point is that just because you're satiated by eating a certain amount of food doesn't mean that the calorie density isn't above what our body actually needs. So let's talk for a second about our hunger hormones and how they work. So ghrelin, which is the hormone that stimulates hunger, it's created in the stomach and it happens when the stomach is empty. So essentially, when our stomach is stretched by food, the amount of ghrelin being produced is temporarily lowered. Whenever the stomach's no longer being stretched, whoop, ghrelin goes back up and you're hungry again. The problem with that is that essentially our hunger is being controlled by the volume of food that we're eating, or the amount of stretching that's happening on our stomach. Now, if you're overweight or obese, there's a pretty good chance that your stomach is already stretched out or larger than the average individual. In other words, you have to eat an even higher volume in order to feel satiated. Okay, so because our stomach is being stretched due to volume and not calorie density, you can potentially eat something that's calorie dense that doesn't stretch the stomach and be hungry in 20 or 30 minutes. And let's also consider the fact that smoothies and protein shakes and any kind of liquid is going to pass even faster through your stomach, leaving you hungry in, I don't know, an hour or two. What's going to happen if you intuitively eat when you've already had enough calories for a meal, essentially, and your stomach is now empty? Okay, so I briefly touched on the fact that overweight or obese individuals, they have totally screwed up hunger hormones. Not only is their ghrelin going to be screwed up because of the size of their stomach, but their sensitivity to leptin, which is another hormone that's created by our fat cells that's supposed to be an appetite suppressant, people can develop a resistance to that if they've had high levels of leptin for a very long time. Let me explain that another way. Leptin is created by our fat cells when there's too many fat cells in our body to keep us to maintain a certain balanced weight or an energy homeostasis, if you will. Let's say you normally maintain your weight around 130 pounds. If you now weigh 150 pounds, your body's going to be producing a lot of leptin in order to suppress your appetite to get you back down to your normal body weight. This is totally normal. But if you're overweight or obese, especially if you've been overweight or obese for a long period of time, your body can be poor at receiving the message that it should suppress your appetite or not eat so much. So that even happens if an individual loses weight and they happen to be overweight or obese in the past. So there have been certain studies that have shown that individuals who are overweight or obese continue to have higher levels of hunger than an average weight individual who has never been overweight or obese. So you can imagine how 60 or 70% of the population who is currently overweight or obese would have an incredibly hard time eating in accordance to their hunger, not to mention the fact that they have no idea about the calorie density, considering our body's ghrelin levels are adjusted depending on how much our stomach is being stretched and the volume of food that we're actually eating. Okay, I could go off on a whole rant here, but essentially the point is intuitive eating is a really shitty way to maintain your weight. I cannot stress enough how important it is to not necessarily listen to our bodies, but listen to the facts about what we're eating. Is our diet nutritionally adequate, first and foremost? Are we eating enough calories and energy in accordance with our actual needs? What about our macronutrients? How are we going to have any of this information if we're not tracking what we're eating to build the habits to know how to eat a sustainable diet long term? Now, I'm not saying that you have to track your food forever. I just think it's important to build up the habits and the skills of what does a normal portion size look like? How much am I actually eating each day? Am I gaining weight? If so, maybe there's certain things I can cut out. Or am I losing weight when I don't want to? Maybe I need to increase my calories. It's really important to actually know how much you're eating, learn those skills, and then find a way to eat that is enjoyable and sustainable for you long term. If you want to succeed, I wouldn't rely on intuitive eating. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that this video wasn't too ranty and that you actually learned something today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the comment box below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.